Next game I want to talk about Iowa at USC. Iowa is obviously coming off a big, cold, wet game in Iowa against Oregon that they kind of pulled out at the last second, that Oregon pulled out in the last second. The spread right now is -7 USC. So USC is favored at home, and then it's 49.5 over under. So let's kind of talk. Yeah, let's start. I like this. Let's just start at the beginning. In season AI, what is it telling you?
Yeah, so what INSZN AI is saying is USC has a 75% chance of winning this game. And with the spread being at USC by 7, what that's kind of telling me is I think USC might might win by more than 7 is kind of how I'm looking at this from the highest level. Look, I mean, you can take the last week's game, Iowa versus Oregon, weird weather, weird conditions, limiting Oregon's offense based on that, and that kind of attributes more to Iowa being able to kind of rely on their defense, which they've obviously done the last decade, if I can remember. So I think this is going to be a little bit more of a standard Iowa versus USC matchup in terms of USC's high-powered offense, Iowa's high-powered defense. So I think that, USC is going to be pretty efficient against Iowa. Let's look at quickly kind of the high-level metrics of this matchup. USC actually ranks number 1 in SP plus offense versus Iowa's 52 in SP plus offense. But on the converse, Iowa's defense is 5th in SP plus and USC's 42nd. So again, this is kind of your typical Iowa game where it's going to be an offense versus defensive matchup. I think quickly, since USC is our number 1 SP plus offensive ranking, let's look at what they've been able to produce versus what Iowa typically allows. And the thing that kind of stands the highest here is USC is getting about 200 rushing yards on the ground per game, where Iowa allows 100. And then in terms of passing yards, USC produces around 303 passing yards per game, where Iowa allows 150. So what we're looking at here is Iowa is, over the opponents they face this year, which is a pretty tough Big Ten this year. They've limited to about 50% of what USC's been able to produce this year. So I'm kind of interested to see how Iowa's defense is able to impact the offense of USC. I don't necessarily think that they're going to limit them to 50% of what they've typically done on a given season. But that's kind of my high-level takeaways here. Do you have anything you want to point out in addition to that?
Yeah, I mean, first we kind of briefly talked about it, but that Oregon squad that they just faced, was number 12 SP plus.
Yeah.
So Iowa limited them to 18 points per game, or 18 points in that game. And that is a very high powered offense as well. The other, kind of just looking through the playmakers that USC has, Jayden Maiava, their quarterback, has been phenomenal. Looking at his headline grades, I don't know really how you attack him. I mean, you get pressure on the quarterback. It seems like is the kind of as a C there. That seems like, but to be fair, that seems like in anyone, if they can get pressure on a quarterback, there aren't many quarterbacks that handle that pressure really well and stay in the pocket.
Yeah.
But the games that they have lost and the games that Jayden has not played his best, he was getting pressured a lot. And you could kind of see towards the end of those games, after getting hit over and over and over again, he didn't want to stay in the pocket, didn't want to follow through and finish his throws. So yeah, I think this probably is going to be a game similar to that Oregon-Iowa game last week. Hopefully in Southern California, the weather's better than it was, but it seems like this is going to be a kind of a tough game for both Iowa and for USC. I know both of them are still ranked in the AP poll. USC is still ranked in the AQR. But yeah, I don't know if I was going to pick USC -7 or Iowa +7. I don't know if personally I would pick one of those. I would probably lean on the under, just because Iowa has shown time and time again, kind of like you said, for the last 10 years, pretty much the last 20 years, ever since Kirk Ferentz got there, and I'm sure before that as well, they have been able to rely on that defense, and they play close games because that defense keeps them in it. So
Yeah.
if I had to pick, I would kind of lean towards the under on this game.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think the under on this game makes a lot of sense. And then if I'm thinking the under, then I'm probably thinking that Iowa could cover 7 points. I think USC wins this game. I think that's my highest level takeaway here. But that's kind of how I'm thinking about it as well. Because if you think about, 50 points, 25 each, and then take 7 on that, it looks like a 17-24 type matchup. Is kind of how I'm viewing that as well. So
Yeah.
that's kind of my thoughts there as well. But yeah, anything else you want to touch on? I mean, look, I just pulled up Iowa quickly to look at their headline grades. Just phenomenal on pass rush defense, on coverage defense, top 25 percentile on run defense. So if anything, it will force USC to run the ball a little bit more than they have throughout the season. Reminds me a little bit of that USC Nebraska game where Jayden just didn't have a great game, but they were able to kind of switch to the run game and still pull out the win. That's kind of how I'm looking at this game probably going. And in that case, it's a lower scoring affair, and I think the under makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I agree with you there. So anyway, that is our preview for Iowa at USC. This is the in-season college football show for week 12. All USC fans, Iowa fans, Big Ten fans, still weird to say USC and Big Ten, but Big Ten fans and anyone else, just college football fans in general, please follow, like, subscribe, comment, tell us the content you want to see, ask questions. We're always awake and always happy to help and answer any questions you have. And please check out inseason.co or inseasoncfb.com